Okay, folks, day 3 of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. So today I visited 3 different distilleries, but the one that made the most impact on me today was the Barton 1792 distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. That particular distillery is owned by Sazerac, which is also, the Buffalo Trace is also owned by Sazerac. So they were both had the same parent company, and the funny thing is that both places, their tours were free. So the tour that I took this morning was actually free. It was the estate tour. They had 3 different choices. You need to get online and register for these if you're going to do these tours, but the estate tour was the best tour. It basically, you can go from the very beginning stages of the trucks rolling in with all of the corn and the rye and the barley, and you watch that being unloaded, and the process goes all the way to the end where you're watching them bottle your product and put it in cases and getting it ready for distribution. So just a little bit, I wanted to share with you some of the videos and stuff that I took of the Barton 1792. So we watched the trucks rolling in with the corn this morning and saw them back into the grain area, and they dump their load into these pits that are underground, and an auger kind of takes it from there into the silos. And from the silos, they're getting milled from that point and being sent up to their silos. So we got to watch that. That was really cool. Then the next step, they took us to the next step, which was going to the mash tun. And we climbed up a bunch of stairs to go to the very top, and we watched the grain going into the mash tuns along with the water that they were dumping in there, and the sound is just tremendous. It was so loud right there. But anyway, we got to do that, and I actually got to do some of the controls as to letting the opening valves up to let the grain come through, and opening valves up to let the water come through. The guy that was running that actually let me push a couple of the buttons. That was super cool too. You know, and that's actually where they start the boiling process and make all of that into wort. So we got to see that. That was cool. Then we watched them move the wort from the mash tuns to the distilling columns, and they have these huge columns that are about 10 stories tall. They're huge. And they run all that work after it's been siphoned off and cleared off into those, and they start to distill it. And they have different levels of where that distilling process is. And once it gets to the very top, they've got a tube that pulls off all of the, what they call the white lightning. And so we got to kind of watch the white lightning being pulled off and go to whatever storage tank that they put that in. Wow! The thing was, they actually pulled out some of the white lightning as it was coming out and let us sample that too. That was really interesting. I mean, it just disappeared. Talk about strong. That was coming out probably at about 140, 145 proof. It was pretty strong stuff. Anyway, so then from that point on, we followed the white lightning to the barreling stage. And we got to watch how they load empty barrels into the barrel, to the filling and we watched them fill them, we watched them plug them, and we watched how they load them back on the trucks to carry them from the filling station to the rick houses. I actually got to plug one barrel. The first time I hit it, that plug just kind of did a flip in the air. Fortunately, we caught it, put it back on there, gave it another couple of whacks, and plugged it up. So that was pretty fun.
What they dumping today? You know, gravy. They're dumping gravy today. Does that sometimes? I don't know what they're doing.
Okay, so we got to watch that, and then when we followed the truck up to the rick house, we got to go into, they have the world's largest barrel storage warehouse. It has the capacity of holding 80,000 barrels of liquor in there. Now, this was a non-standard warehouse, and the reason why it was is because in this warehouse they store everything on special pallets instead of putting them in lines in the rolling bins where typically bourbon would age. But in this particular warehouse, they store them on pallets. And I've got some pictures that you're going to want to see of the pallets that just go on forever. Really cool. They have 27 total rick houses on their property, which was about 196 acres is what they said. And those 27 are standard rick houses. This one was the 28th, which is a non-standard. And most of the regular rick houses, I think they said, hold about 20 to 25,000 barrels, and they have 27 of those on property. I also got a chance to watch them take barrels and empty them, and they call that the dump station. So what they do is they offload them off of these trucks after they've aged for however many years they're going to age in the rick houses, and they load them on trucks and take them to the dump station, and they will drill out those plugs, and then they put these metal straws inside of them. And they told us that what it does is it allows the air to go in faster, kind of, I guess, creates a vortex of some sort, and they dump faster. So they'll roll them off these things, and they do probably 10 or 15 barrels at a time, where they're emptying them into these dump bins.
This is called a straw, but it's not a straw that you drink out of, it's a big cap. So when he puts it in a barrel, the barrel will make one complete rotation, we can set it out, and we'll be completely out of the barrel. This will go down to him, we can put water in, and flush any alcohol or anything else that's in there, flush it all out. So we can have a tank and get it all out of itself.
So we watched them do that, and from there we went to the bottling stations. And so when we got there, they were bottling some single barrel Barton 1792. And what I didn't know is that every single barrel that they do, they bottle by hand. Everything's done by hand. They take the bottles out of the boxes, they clean them, they fill them, they label them, and then they shrink wrap them to seal them and put them in the box, all done at one station by hand. And so every bottle that you get from Barton 1792 is hand done, hand bottled, if it's a single barrel.
It's a single barrel of bottle now. What that means, that bottle come out of one barrel.
That's some sort of a tent that's made in Oklahoma.
Where'd you get all these people at?
Texas.
Texas? What part of Texas?
Dallas.
So that was really cool. And the guy came over and let us smell that particular product that he was bottling at that time. Really cool. And then the last thing that we got to do after we watched them from the beginning to the end stage, we went to another warehouse, standard Rick House, where we got a chance to actually go in, and the guide thieved some 12-year-old single barrel bourbon out straight from the cask, and we poured it in a glass, and we all got to try it. Cask strength, straight from the cask, no filtering, no nothing. It was an experience. It was probably some of the best bourbon that I've ever tasted. And the guide told us that proof was probably at 130 proof. So it was absolutely delicious. The nose on it was spectacular. So I got a video of that to show you as well.
Usually when you pick a straw up, you put a hole over it and the hose that catches it, but this one here won't. Even if I cover up all those holes, it's going to come out about as fast as I pull that straw up out of there.
So
what I'm going to do is,
need some help.
yeah, so if you'll hold that glass right there, now take a drink of that one. Pass it around.
Oh my goodness. So if you get a chance, you need to go to your local liquor store and try some of the Barton 1792. It's really pretty good stuff. Actually, their full proof 1792 is the 2020 World Whiskey of the Year, according to Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible for the year 2020. So that is something to, if you can find it at your liquor store, that's something to try. You're really going to enjoy that. That's probably going to be very, very close to what I got to try straight out of the cask. The only difference would be that that's been filtered so that all the impurities and everything, the pieces of charred oak and everything have been removed from that. So anyway, had a great time today, and I hope you enjoy these videos and these pictures that we're going to post for you. We're going to do another one tomorrow. Might be able to get some pictures and some footage of that, but if we don't, we'll definitely get to see you here pretty soon with another tobacco that we're going to go do. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.